The knife slipped from my hand mid-slice, embedding itself in the wooden picnic table with a thud that echoed like a gunshot through the lazy afternoon haze. My stepfather's eyes widened, fork frozen halfway to his mouth, while my brother choked on his lemonade, sputtering, "Jesus, Alex, what the hell?" But it wasn't the knife that cut deepest. It was the words I just let loose, raw and irreversible. "I'm gay. And I've been lying to both of you for years." The park in Seattle's Discovery Park stretched out around us like a forgotten dream, the Salish Sea glittering in the distance under a sky so blue it hurt to look at. We'd come here for what Mark, my stepdad, called a reset, one of those forced family bonding rituals after Mom's latest business trip stretched into months. Jake, my stepbrother, had dragged the cooler, all easy grins and quarterback swagger, while I'd packed the sandwiches, my hands shaking the whole drive over. At 22, I was supposed to have it together, fresh out of community college, barista gig at that hipster spot in Capitol Hill, apartment above a laundromat that smelled like dryer sheets and regret. But secrets have a way of festering, turning quiet moments into minefields. Mark cleared his throat first, setting down his plate with deliberate care, like he was handling fragile glass. He was the picture of steady American dad. Salt and pepper hair, flannel shirt rolled to his elbows, calluses from years fixing engines at the Boeing plant. "Alex," he said, voice low and measured, the kind that commanded respect without yelling. "You sure about this? I mean, it's big." His eyes flicked to Jake, then back to me, searching for a punchline that wasn't coming. Jake wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. His athletic frame slouched against the tree trunk we'd claimed as our spot. At 19, he was all Golden Boy energy varsity soccer star at UW, the kid who made friends in line at the grocery store. We'd grown up sharing a bathroom, trading comic books and bad advice about girls, even after Mom married Mark when I was 12. He was the brother I never had blood with but loved like I did. "Dude," he said, leaning forward, elbows on knees. "If this is some kind of joke to freak us out, it's landing. But, shit, Alex, you're serious." There was no disgust in his tone, just that wide-eyed confusion of someone who'd never questioned his own straight-laced world. I nodded, my throat tight as the summer air pressing in. The confession had bubbled up unbidden, sparked by the simple normalcy of it all. The turkey clubs I'd layered with avocado because Jake hated mayo. The thermos of iced tea Mark brewed too strong every time. We'd been laughing about that time Jake wiped out on his skateboard in front of the whole neighborhood. And suddenly, the weight of it hit me. The fake dates I'd invented for family dinners, the apps deleted in panic, the nights staring at the ceiling wondering if I'd ever say it aloud. Yeah, dead serious. I've known since high school. Longer, maybe. But Mom, she wouldn't get it. And after she left for good last year, I figured, why drag you guys into my mess? Mom's departure had been the slow unraveling of everything. Corporate climber, always chasing the next promotion in New York, until one day the divorce papers came via email, and she was gone. Visiting sporadically. Her word, which meant Christmas cards and guilty Venmo transfers. Mark had stepped up, quiet and uncomplaining, turning our split-level house in Ballard into a bachelor pad with takeout Tuesdays and Sunday hikes. Jake and I filled the gaps with video games and half-hearted attempts at cooking. It worked, mostly. Until now. Mark rubbed his jaw, the stubble rasping under his fingers. "Your mom's not here, Alex. This is us. And look, I ain't gonna lie, it's a curveball. But you're my kid. Step or not, doesn't matter." He paused, glancing at the sea, where a ferry chugged toward Bainbridge Island like it had all the time in the world. "Just wish you'd trusted us sooner. We could have had your back." Jake punched my arm lightly, the way he did when we were kids dodging chores. "Yeah, man. Remember that crush you had on Tyler from chem class? We all thought you were just awkward. Should have known." He grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. There was a flicker there. Hurt? Worry? Couldn't tell. The sun dipped lower, painting the grass in amber, and for a heartbeat, it felt like we'd dodged the storm. We packed up slow, folding the blanket with careful folds, the knife still quivering in the table like a bad omen. Driving home through the evergreens, the radio hummed old Springsteen, and Mark's hand clapped my shoulder at a stoplight. Proud of you, son. Takes guts. But guts don't rewrite history overnight. That night, I lay in my childhood bed, posters peeling, the glow-in-the-dark stars Mom stuck up when I was 8 still faintly luminous. Scrolling Grindr on my phone, heart pounding like I'd run a marathon. The app was a guilty escape, profiles blurring into faceless hopes. I swiped past the torsos and smirks until one stopped me. Ethan, 24, barista/artist with messy curls and a bio that read, "Chasing sunsets and bad decisions in the PNW." His photo was him on a pier, rain-slicked jacket, smile crooked like he knew a secret. We matched, messaged, laughed about overpriced lattes and the eternal Seattle drizzle. Our first date was the next weekend. A walk along Alki Beach where the Olympics loomed purple on the horizon. Ethan was all kinetic energy. Tattoos snaking up his arms like vines, stories spilling out about growing up in Tacoma, coming out at 16 to a family that high-fived him over pizza. "It's not always fireworks," he said, handing me a pebble smoothed by the tide. "But the right people, they make it feel like home." We kissed under the pier, salt air tangling our breaths, his hand warm on my neck. For the first time, I wasn't performing. I was just me. Words spread in ripples. Jake cornered me in the kitchen a few days later, flipping pancakes like it was no big deal. "So, this Ethan guy, he cool? Not like a total douche?" I shrugged, pouring syrup, but my cheeks burned. "He's great. Real. Doesn't make me feel like I'm auditioning." Jake nodded, stacking plates, but his jaw tightened. "Good. 'Cause if he hurts you, I'll bury him in the backyard." It was brotherly, fierce, the kind of protection that made my chest ache. Mark, meanwhile, asked questions over burgers at the local dive. Subtle probes about Ethan's job, his family, like he was vetting a used car. "Just looking out," he'd say, but there was a new distance in his eyes, a shadow I couldn't name. Fall crept in, leaves turning the streets to fire. Ethan and I fell into rhythm. Movie nights in his cramped Queen and walk-up, hikes in the Cascades where he'd sketch me against mossy rocks, his pencil capturing the lines I hid from mirrors. "You're beautiful when you're unguarded," he'd murmur, and I'd believe him, pulling him close until the world narrowed to heartbeats. But home was fracturing. Jake started pulling away, late practices, excuses about study groups, while Mark buried himself in overtime, the garage light burning late into the night. I chalked it up to adjustment, the awkward phase of normalcy, until the texts stopped coming from Jake, and Mark's questions turned sharp. One crisp October evening, Ethan and I were tangled on his couch, some indie flick droning in the background, when my phone buzzed. It was a group chat, me, Jake, Mark, with a link from an unknown number. Heart sinking, I clicked. It was a blurry photo. Me and Ethan, mid-kiss under that pier, time-stamped from weeks ago. Below it, a message. "Family should know the truth. God bless." Anonymous, but the knife twist told me it wasn't a stranger. My hands shook as I forwarded it to Mark and Jake, typing, "What the fuck is this?" Radio silence. Then Jake, "Not from me. Swear." Mark, "Come home. Now." Ethan squeezed my shoulder, his face pale. "Breathe, Alex. We'll figure it." But driving through the rain-slicked streets, wipers slapping like accusations, I felt the picnic's peace shatter for good. The house on 28th Avenue Northwest loomed dark against the sodium glow of street lamps, porch light flickering like a hesitant welcome. I killed the engine, rain pattering on the windshield, blurring the world into watercolor regret. Ethan had wanted to come, his hand lingering on the door handle. "I'm not letting you face this alone." But I'd waved him off, mumbling about family business. Truth was, I didn't want him to see me break. Not yet. Mark answered on the first knock, his face etched with lines that hadn't been there in July. No hug, just a curt nod inside, where the living room smelled of stale coffee and unspoken storms. Jake sprawled on the couch, knees bouncing, phone clutched like a lifeline. The photo glowed on the TV screen, magnified to accusation. Our lips locked, Ethan's curls wild in the wind, my eyes closed in foolish bliss. "Sit," Mark said, voice gravel. I did, perching on the arm of the recliner, the leather creaking under me. Who sent it? I demanded, hating how small I sounded. Jake shrugged, eyes on the floor. Dunno. Got it same time as you. But his fidgeting screamed otherwise. Fingers drumming, foot tapping a Morse code of guilt. Mark paced, hands in pockets. The man who'd taught me to change a tire now unraveling like frayed rope. Doesn't matter who. It's out there now. And Alex, this, in public, folks talk. At work, church, hell, the whole neighborhood. Church. That word landed like a slap. Mark's evangelical roots ran deep. Small-town Ohio boy who traded cornfields for Puget Sound but never shed the Sunday sermons. Mom had rolled her eyes at it, but after she left, he'd leaned harder into the flock. Bible study on Wednesdays, potlucks where casseroles came with prayers. I tagged along once or twice, smiling through the love the sinner platitudes, but now it poisoned the air. So what? It's my life. Our kiss doesn't hurt anyone. Doesn't it? Mark stopped, facing me, eyes stormy. You're thinking like a kid. I'm thinking about Jake, college apps, scholarships, coaches sniffing around for any whiff of scandal. And me? The guys at the shop already side-eye me for the divorce. Now this. He gestured at the screen, voice rising. You paraded it, Alex. Like it's nothing. Jake shifted, finally meeting my gaze. Dad, Mark, chill. It's not like that. But his defense was half-hearted, laced with something brittle. I saw it then. The betrayal wasn't the photo, not yet. It was the fracture lines we'd ignored. The way Jake's buddies had started whispering after I skipped their keggers. How Mark's hugs had shortened since the picnic. You told someone? I said to Jake, quiet as the rain outside. Didn't you? About me. About Ethan. He flinched, color draining. No, God, Alex, no. I wouldn't. But the lie hung there, heavy as fog. Mark cut in. Enough. This family's been through hell. Your mom bailing? That nearly broke us. And now you drop this bomb. Then rub it in everyone's face? I supported you, son. Swallowed my doubts because I love you. But love has limits. The room spun. Limits. Like the ones I'd toed my whole life. Faking laughs at straight jokes. Burying crushes under layers of denial. I stood, chair scraping. Limits? You mean your comfort zone. This isn't about Jake's soccer dreams or your shop gossip. It's about you not knowing how to love someone who doesn't fit your script. Tears burned, hot and unbidden. Jake reached out. Bro, wait. But I was already at the door, coat forgotten. Rain soaking through my shirt like absolution. Outside, the street was a river of blacktop, taillights smearing red. I walked, blocks blurring, until my phone buzzed. Ethan. Where are you? Talk to me. I collapsed on a bus stop bench, dialing, his voice pulling me back like a lifeline. They hate me, I sobbed, the words fracturing. The photo. It's everywhere now. And Jake, he knew. He must have. Ethan listened. No interruptions. Just steady breaths until the storm in me eased. Come here. Now. We'll fix this. Or burn it down. Your call. His apartment was a sanctuary. String lights casting gold over thrift store furniture. The faint scent of sage from his morning rituals. He wrapped me in a blanket, brewed chamomile that tasted like childhood comforts, and held me as the sobs came in waves. You're not alone, he whispered, fingers tracing my knuckles. Not anymore. We didn't sleep much, mapping the fallout over dawn's gray light. Block the sender, report the photo, lean on friends. But deeper, Ethan saw the wound. Family's not blood, Alex. It's choice. And they chose fear over you tonight. By morning, resolve hardened. I texted Jake. We need to talk. Alone. His reply was swift. Coffee shop? 10 a.m. The daily grind on Market Street buzzed with the pre-lunch rush. Laptop warriors and dog walkers nursing pour-overs. Jake arrived disheveled. Hood up against the drizzle. Sliding into the booth with a mumbled, large black, please to the barista. We ordered. Mine a flat white foam heart mocking me, and sat in loaded silence until the cup steamed between us. I didn't send it, he started, stirring sugar he didn't need. Swear on everything. But, yeah. I told Coach Ramirez about you coming out. Thought it'd explain why you've been distant. He asked, man, said you seemed off at pickup games. I figured. Honesty, you know? His eyes pleaded, young and desperate. Pickup games. The ones I'd quit after a teammate's fag joke landed too close. Honesty, I echoed, bitter. Without asking me. And now it's viral in your world. Great. Jake deflated, shoulders slumping. I fucked up. Big time. Dad's freaking. Says it's a sign like God's testing us or some bullshit. But Alex, I don't care that you're gay. Never did. It's just, everything's changing. College, Dad's blood pressure acting up, Mom's radio silence. You're the constant. And now you're slipping away with this Ethan guy all loved up. And I'm scared we'll lose you too. The confession cracked something in me. Scared. Not disgusted. Not ashamed. Just terrified of the void. I thought of our forts under the stairs, midnight raids on the fridge, the time he covered for me when I snuck out to a forbidden party. You're not losing me, idiot, but you can't out me to make yourself feel better. That's not brotherhood. He nodded, tears welling, and for a moment, we were kids again, bridging the gap with a fist bump over cooling coffee. Mark was harder. Days passed in standoff, polite notes on the fridge, shared spaces like minefields. Ethan became my anchor, his art show opening a welcome distraction. Gallery in Pioneer Square, walls alive with abstracts that bled emotion. He dedicated one to me. A swirl of blues and golds titled Unspoken Tides. And as guests milled, wine glasses clinking, I felt seen. To us, he toasted quietly, our fingers laced under the table. But the high crashed when my phone lit up. Mark, voicemail. Alex, we need to fix this. Church picnic tomorrow. Come, please. The church picnic. Irony twisted like kudzu. I went, Ethan in tow, his hand a quiet rebellion in mine. The field behind First Covenant buzzed with Americana. Frisbees arcing, kids chasing balloons, tables groaning under Jell-O salads and deviled eggs. Mark spotted us from the grill, aprons smeared with sauce, his wave stiff but present. Jake jogged over, clapping Ethan's back too hard. Artist, huh? Cool. Show me your stuff sometime. Awkward but trying. We ate under a canopy, plates balanced on knees, small talk skirting the elephant. Then Pastor Hale wandered over, Bible tucked under arm, smile wide as the sound. Mark tells me you're quite the painter, Ethan. And Alex, heard you're keeping the coffee flowing downtown. His eyes lingered, kind but probing. Family's a blessing, boys. Even when it's messy. Mark cleared his throat, setting down his burger. Pastor knows. About the photo. Traced it to some busybody from Bible study. Saw you two at the beach. Thought she was protecting the flock. A beat. I shut it down. Told her where to stuff her piety. Relief flickered. Tentative. You defended me? Mark met my gaze steady. You're my son. Messy or not. But the air thickened when Jake's phone chimed. A group text from his team. Screenshot of the photo, memes twisting it into ugliness. Fairy tale ending? One read with laughing emojis. Jake's face crumpled, and in that instant, the real storm broke. Not rain, but reckoning. The memes hit like shrapnel, each ping a fresh wound. Jake bolted from the picnic table, phone clutched like it burned, vanishing into the crowd toward the porta-potties. Ethan squeezed my hand under the tablecloth. Go after him. But Mark was already up, plate clattering. I'll handle it. I followed anyway, weaving through picnic blankets and gossiping clusters. The pastor's God loves all sermon droning from the PA like white noise. We found Jake behind the equipment shed, retching into the grass. Phone shattered on the ground, screen spiderwebbed, but the damage done. Those assholes, he gasped, wiping his mouth. My team, they think it's funny, like you're a punchline. Mark knelt, hand on his back, murmuring comforts, but his eyes met mine over Jake's shoulder. Accusation? No, exhaustion. The betrayal boomeranged. Jake's slip to the coach had snowballed, the photo the match that lit the fuse. And now his world, built on cleats and camaraderie, crumbled because of my truth. Back at the table, Ethan fielded the awkward hellos from church ladies, his charm a shield. Potato salad? Don't mind if I do. Family recipe? But his free hand traced circles on my thigh, grounding me. I wanted to bolt, to drag him to the ferry and leave the scripted suburbia behind. Instead, I sat through pie and prayers, the weight of eyes like humidity. That night, driving home with Mark's truck rumbling behind us, Jake silent in the passenger seat, I texted Ethan, "Stay over? Need you." His reply, "Always." The next weeks were a tightrope. Jake threw himself into drills, bruises blooming like badges. But he'd text me late nights, "Sorry again. Love you, bro." Mark fixed the garage door, symbolic, maybe, leaving it ajar like an invitation. I stepped through one evening, tools clinking as he wiped grease from his hands. "Ethan seems solid," he said, no preamble. "Reminds me of me at that age. Chasing dreams, head in the clouds." I leaned against the workbench, wary. "Yeah? You gay in college, Dad?" He chuckled, dry. "Nah. But I hid things too. Your mom. She didn't know about the drinking. The nights I blacked out after my folks split. Thought it'd make me weak." The admission hung, raw. Mark, the rock cracked open. "Came out sober 10 years ago. Best decision. But it cost friends pride. Seeing you fight. It's like watching my redo." We hugged then, awkward and real. Flannel scratching my cheek. Progress fragile as eggshell. Ethan and I deepened, roots tangling. Thanksgiving loomed, Mom's absence a ghost, so we hosted me, Ethan, Jake, Mark, even Ethan's sister flying in from Portland. The turkey was a comedy of errors. Smoke alarm blaring, gravy lumpy. But laughter filled the cracks. Jake and Ethan bonded over Seahawks trash talk. Mark shared war stories from the plant. As pie steamed on the sideboard, Ethan clinked his glass. To chosen families, the ones that stick. Eyes met around the table, and for a breath it held. But betrayal's shadow lingers. December brought the call. Jake's scholarship interview, virtual with a Big Ten coach who'd seen the photo. "Son," the man drawled, screen frozen on his stern face. "We value character here, but distractions? They derail." Jake nailed the drills, aced the stats, but the offer ghosted, waitlisted, they said. He confronted the coach later, voice steady. "Was it the photo? My brother's life." Silence, then deflection. "Focus on what you control, kid." Rage simmered. Jake stormed home, slamming doors, and I found him in the basement, punching the heavy bag we'd rigged from an old tire. "It's my fault," I said, catching a glove. "I should have stayed quiet." He wheeled, sweat slicked, eyes wild. "Bullshit. They're small-minded crap." "But Dad," he pulled strings, called the pastor who called a buddy on the board, said it was youthful mistake. But really? Covering for the gay kid's ripple effect. Mark protecting Jake by minimizing me. The knife again, deeper. Climax brewed that Christmas Eve. Snow dusted the evergreens, rare for Seattle, turning the city to a postcard. We gathered for tree trimming. Lights twinkling, Bing Crosby crooning. But tension crackled like static. Ethan arrived with cider, his presence a bomb. But Jake's jabs sharpened. "Nice sweater? Bro, Ethan, pick it out?" Matching his vibe. Snide, born of pain. I shot back. "Jealous? Or just pissed your golden tickets tarnished?" Mark intervened, ornaments clinking, but his boys held warning. It erupted by the fire pit in the backyard, flames hissing against chill. Jake hurled the accusation. "You think this is easy? Dad's killing himself at work to fund my tryouts, and now scholarships tank because of your parade." Ethan stiffened beside me, but I stepped forward. "My parade? You mean living, loving, while you play victim to your own leaks?" Mark loomed, voice thunder. "Enough! Alex, you knew the risks, small-town values in a big world. Jake, own your part. But this family's fraying because no one's bending." The air froze. Ethan pulled me aside, whispering, "Walk away. Don't let them define you. But walking meant surrender. Instead, I faced them, voice steady amid the swirl. That picnic? I trusted you, bared everything. And yeah, it changed us. But change isn't the enemy, fear is. Mark, your secrets shaped you. Jake, mine don't diminish yours. We're threads in the same damn quilt. Rip one, we all unravel. Silence stretched, snowflakes melting on lashes. Jake cracked first, shoulders sagging. I'm sorry. For the coach, the memes. For making you the villain. Mark nodded, slow, the firelight carving regret on his face. I fixed what I could. Wrong way. But Alex, you're right. I hid to protect, but it poisoned us. Ethan wrapped an arm around me, his warmth the anchor. We stood there, for silhouettes against the glow, the weight lifting inch by inch. Winter thawed into tentative spring. Jake landed a local scholarship, community college, transfer track, coaching gigs on the side. Mark joined a support group, not for sobriety but for dads navigating the gray. Ethan and I planned a road trip, Route 101, redwoods to beaches, our love a quiet revolution. One evening, post-dinner cleanup, Jake bumped my shoulder. Proud of you, man, for holding the line. Mark added, from the sink, me too, all of it. But the real mending came in fragments. A shared beer on the porch, Ethan's art on our walls. Jake's first date nerves confessed over tacos. Betrayal's scar remained, a reminder that trust rebuilds slower than it breaks. Yet in the ruins, something human bloomed, flawed, fierce, ours. Spring unfurled in Seattle like a hesitant promise. Cherry blossoms shedding pink confetti on rain-washed streets. The market stalls bursting with halibut and hyacinths. Ethan and I marked our 6-month with a ferry ride to Bainbridge, picnicking on the deck where gulls wheeled and the city skyline shrank to toy scale. Remember that first beach walk? He asked, feeding me strawberries, juice-staining fingers. I laughed, pulling him close against the wind. How could I forget? You with your pebbles and poetry. Our kiss tasted of salt and forever, the kind of moment that stitches wounds without words. Home had softened its edges. Jake's dorm move-in loomed. UW full ride after all. The waitlist miracle chalked up to persistence. And he'd taken to crashing our movie nights, popcorn bowl in lap, Ethan's quips drawing his rare belly laughs. You two are disgustingly cute, he'd groan. But his eyes sparkled, the jealousy transmuted to quiet cheer. Mark, ever the fixer, surprised us with season tickets to the Mariners. Nosebleeds, but the gesture landed. Baseball's America's pastime, he said over pregame dogs. Room for all kinds under those lights. Yet undercurrents stirred. The photo's ghost resurfaced in spring's churn. A news blip about the church busybody, sued for harassment after targeting others. A trans teen, a bi couple. Pastor Hale resigned, citing renewed perspective, and Mark testified. His words in the paper, love doesn't discriminate. Neither should we. Reading it over breakfast, I slid the clipping across. Dad, this you? He shrugged, bacon midway to mouth. Had to. For Jake. For you. The simplicity undid me. Progress not in grand gestures, but gritty choices. Ethan's world pulled me deeper. His mural commission. A community center wall in the Central District, celebrating queer icons, had me posing as reference, paint-splattered afternoons dissolving into dusk. You're my muse, he'd tease, brushstrokes mapping my collarbone. But it was more visibility, the art of being unapologetic. We hosted the unveiling, rainbow tapes snapping under scissors, neighbors mingling with activists, Jake toasting with soda. To Alex, bravest guy I know. Mark hung back, nursing a beer, but his nod to Ethan spoke volumes. Acceptance earned. Conflict's embers flared once more, subtle as Seattle fog. Mom called out of the blue, her voice crisp from Manhattan towers. Heard about the drama. Your father's been chatty. Code for spilling to his ex, the woman who'd fled emotional quicksand. She visited in May, heels clicking on our linoleum, designer suitcase a stark contrast to the lived-in chaos. Dinner was theater. Jake's awkward hugs, Mark's stiff pleasantries, Ethan's polite distance. Me? I sat across, fork spearing asparagus like it owed me answers. Alex, she said, post-meal coffee steaming. I've been reading up on you, them. Her eyes flicked to Ethan, who cleared plates with grace. Proud, really, but pride laced with pity, the subtext screaming. I left too soon, or not soon enough. Later, alone in the kitchen, she cornered me. Your father's changing, because of this. Don't break him more. As if my queerness was the fracture, not her absence. I bit back fire. He's stronger than you think. But the seed of doubt rooted, whispering. Am I the catalyst for more loss? Ethan sensed it, that night in bed, his head on my chest. She's projecting. Old guilt. I traced his tattoos, the ink stories of his own scars. A botched coming out, a lover's fade. Maybe, but what if I'm the domino? Jake's almost gone scholarship, Dad's church fallout. He lifted my chin, eyes fierce. You're the glue, Alex. The one who named the mess so we could clean it. We made love slow, reaffirming bodies a language of yes, no rush, just presence. Dawn found us tangled, the world kinder in grayscale. Climax crested unannounced. A June storm rolling off the Olympics. Jake's end-of-year party. House packed with teammates, bass thumping from speakers. Turned when a drunk lineman cornered me by the keg. Heard your bros got a ferry for a brother-in-law. Explains the weak arm. Huh. Laughter rippled. Ugly. Jake overheard. Face thunder. Shoving the guy into the wall. Say it again. To my face. Fists flew. Beer cans scattering, shouts rising. Until Mark waded in, hauling Jake back, the interloper stumbling out. Chaos cleared, guests trickling away, leaving us in wreckage. Overturned chairs, red cups like bloodstains. Jake paced the driveway, knuckles split. I should have ended him. Mark iced his hand, voice low. Violence solves nothing, but standing up? That's everything. I lingered on the porch, Ethan beside me, the rain starting in earnest. You okay? He asked. I nodded, but the truth clawed. The fight wasn't for me, but because of me. Ripple endless. It peaked in the living room, post-midnight, adrenaline souring to reckoning. Jake slumped on the stairs. I'm done hiding you. Or me. Coach called today, full ride confirmed. Said the drama showed resilience. Mark sank into his chair, wearied. Lost 2 friends at church today. Over the testimony. But gained clarity. Mom's visit email waited on my phone. I'm coming back. For good. If you'll have me. The weight crashed. Family expanding, contracting, reforming. I spoke first, voice amid the patter. That picnic changed us because it had to. Secrets rot. Truths. They scar. But they heal. Jake met my eyes. I betrayed you first. Forgive. Mark, I bent wrong. But I'm learning. Ethan squeezed my hand. Silent strength. We talked till gray light crept. Tears, laughs, the raw weave of us. Mom arrived a week later, tentative. But her hug to Ethan was genuine. Family's messy. Worth it. Summer solstice found us at Discovery Park. Full circle. Picnic redux. Sandwiches upgraded. The table knife safely sheathed. Jake brought his girlfriend. Nervous intro, all blushes. Ethan sketched the scene. Mark cracked dad jokes. As sun dipped, painting the sea gold, I raised my thermos. To secrets shared. And staying. Glasses clinked. Voices overlapping in harmony. Nothing stayed the same, true, but in the after, we found something better, human, whole. Betrayal's echo faded, replaced by rhythm. Jake's graduation, Ethan's gallery show, Mark's promotion, Mom's slow reintegration. Our love, Ethan and I, bloomed quiet. Road trips penciled, rings whispered in starlit fields. Life's not postcard perfect. Arguments flare, doubts whisper, but in the fray, grace. That picnic, not the end but the spark. And in America's vast, varied heart, we learned. Love endures, not despite the storm, but through it.